I started teaching online in 2020 because of something. Maybe you can guess what it was. I was teaching adult ESL classes in person, and suddenly we had to switch everything online, so I had to learn very fast how to teach them the same things, but in an online format. Today I want to talk about how to lesson plan for individual and small group English classes online. We'll go through assessing the level of new students, planning lessons, and I'll show you what it looks like in one of my classes with 2 Spanish students. Make sure to stay to the end. I'll share where to find a free proficiency assessment and a free lesson planning template. So what kind of people are looking for online English lessons? So mostly working professionals along with some teenagers, and they will want to focus on speaking. So you will want to do a lot of conversation practice and also probably some pronunciation practice. I personally like to do flipped classroom, so I will send them materials for language input like readings, videos, have them write things, so they can get all that language input on their own before your lesson, and then during the online lesson with you, they can practice more speaking, ask you questions about the concepts, and just generally practice the oral part of the language. When I get a new student, I like to send them a new student form, or at least ask them a few questions. Okay, so your first class, just remember, we generally cannot learn anything if we're not feeling safe and comfortable. So spend some time chatting with your student, ask them some easy questions like, where are they from? What do they like to do? How's their week going? I like to use a quick speaking assessment with students during the first class. And again, I will share that with you. It's just a list of about 15-20 questions, and each question is testing a different grammar point. And the point of this is, well, first of all, it's a nice way to get to know them. Also, it gives you an idea of their language level, and it's just a baseline for where you can start. I usually start a lesson by asking them how they are, how their week was.
In today's, I don't happen anything.
Oh, nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Okay.
So this is a way to build rapport with them, and it's also generally easy to talk about ourselves and our own experiences. So language-wise, it's a nice way to warm up. Then it is good practice to share the learning goal. So a learning goal should be something the student will be able to do by the end of that lesson. You can make a very specific goal, like I did with Jose and Frank.
So our learning goal for today is that you, the students, that you can use what, who, where, when, how, which, and whose to ask and answer questions, okay?
So after sharing the learning goal, I like to spend 5 or 10 minutes doing review. So usually something that we worked on the previous lesson. Again, it's a nice way to warm up with something they already know how to do. And it's also useful to you as a teacher to know, do they still have that concept? Did they understand it all the way? Do we need to go back and work on it some more? So a lot of times for a review activity, I like to do a game or a little task or just ask them some questions. So my last class with Frank and Jose, we learned how to use there is and there are. So to review, we did some fill in the blank, and I also had them ask each other questions about things that were and weren't in their house or in their neighborhood. So let's see what that looks like.
There are TV on your room?
What's wrong with this question?
Okay, are there is there a TV in your room? Singular, I'm so sorry.
Another option for the beginning of your lesson is to do some warm-ups. A lot of times I just grab some conversation starter questions. You can either come up with your own questions, or you can just use a list of questions that's available online. One website I use a lot is the Internet TESOL Journal. I'll put a link down in the description, and it just has lists and lists of questions in all kinds of topics. Okay, another option is to grab some pictures and have your student talk about the pictures or ask them specific questions about pictures. This is fun for any level. Okay, so at this point you have shared the learning goal, you've done some review, and now it's time to get into the main concept you want to teach in your lesson. There are lots of ways to teach a new concept. In general, just remember to explain it slowly and give tons and tons of examples, tons of comprehensible input. You're certainly welcome to directly teach your student whatever the learning goal is, but I also really like to use videos because a lot of times they have a lot of visuals already. There's a lot of sound effects. They're very engaging, and they probably teach it better than I would just talking to the student.
Did you guys watch the video I sent?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you both did? Okay, awesome.
It's
What kind of pizza do you like? Which one's the auxiliary verb?
Do.
do.
Somebody watch the video. Good job.
All right, then you can move on to guided practice, which is just practicing the new language concept with the help of the teacher. So it's good to start as simple as you can. For example, maybe you have a sentence with one word missing, or you can match new vocabulary with the pictures correlated to them or to their definitions. There's lots of things you can do. So the student is not producing on their own a lot of language yet. They are more just maybe making choices, what goes where, getting familiar with the new language. But then as you continue your guided practice, you can make the exercises a little more challenging. Maybe they require more independence, require more language production. I'll show you my class with Jose and Frank, how it started quite simple, and then gradually the practice exercises got a little more challenging.
Lu. How is this?
It's gonna be one of
those.
these words. Whose?
Whose? Whose?
How are you feeling today?
For example, I like orange juice. I'm gonna try to find the question. I think it's this one. Which do you prefer?
Yeah.
Apple juice or orange juice? All right. Let's have Frank, you do the next one. I usually eat a sandwich for lunch. I could make the question, what do you usually eat for lunch? All right, Frank.
Oh, the hotel cost. How much cost the hotel a night in the hotel? How much?
This one you need an auxiliary verb.
I'm so sorry. How much does?
Very good. How much does the hotel cost?
Other tools I like to use to practice the language, I love games like board game. You can create a board game out of anything. You can create your own. You can find them online. For this lesson, I found a free wheel spinner website. I just typed in all those question words, spun the wheel, and whoever's turn it was had to create a question for someone using that word.
Who are
How?
how
Don't be nervous.
how are you day?
You could say, how are you today? Or you could say, how is your day? Or how was your day?
Other games I've done you can do online. You can do I Spy with pictures, language scenes, to practice adjectives or to practice prepositions. I've played Guess Who to teach describing people. So I will say adults appreciate games just as much as kids, and maybe even more because they really don't get a lot of chances to play in their daily lives. They do appreciate having the game, and just gamifying your lesson just makes it more fun. So hopefully by the end of your lesson, your student will be able to do whatever it was that was your learning goal, produce that language.
Do we meet our learning goal? Do you know how to use these words?
We need practice more. We
Yes.
need practice more because
Okay.
But also, I like to give students some independent practice, aka homework, to really solidify their new knowledge. So, of course, you can do the classic worksheet. You can also ask your student to write, and you could also ask them to record their response to whatever prompt, recording themselves with their phone. And it's also really good for them. They're going to hate it. They're not going to want to do it, but to listen to themselves speaking English, to record themselves and listen back, because it's really hard to know what we're doing right or wrong when we're actually speaking. All right, so there you have it. That is a general outline of what online English lessons can look like. We all have our own teaching style, things we like to incorporate. So this is just what I like to do in general. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you want to download the pre-assessment to use with new students, there's a link down below, and there's also a link for just a simple lesson planning template. Let me know in the comments other topics you'd like to hear about if you are a teacher or if you're just interested in language teaching. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.